This is a podcast about both having autism and living with someone who has autism. My mom is Sonya, and I'm Josh, and this is Josh Has Autism.
Hey everybody, welcome to Josh Has Autism.
Hello.
We missed you last week.
Yeah.
Josh and I missed hanging out with everybody.
Yeah, that too. I thought you were asking me. Or telling me that you missed me.
Well, I missed doing this with you last week, yeah. Well, we've been crazy busy.
We have been, yeah.
All kinds of stuff, and then Nana had to go to the emergency room. Connor had to go to the emergency room.
That's right.
Last week was just bonkers with family stuff. And we tried to get the podcast in and just didn't. We were not able to. And, we do it every week. So the things that we talk about are current,
Yeah.
The things that we try to be anyway.
Yeah.
But I might just start doing a few ahead of time so that, we have some anyway.
Just in case something like that happens again.
Well, yeah, and you know why? Is because I've got messages asking, is there no podcast? Or some people telling me, you're late with the podcast. And then I would respond
that
saying...
sounds like Chrissy.
I'm saying... no, this wasn't. It's funny, though. Anyway, so I do apologize for those of you that look forward to the podcast every week. And we're doing things to make sure that it does happen every week.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How was your day?
Tiring.
Yeah. You worked today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I woke up on my own without an alarm at 6:45 this morning.
We had a killer storm last night. Did it wake you up?
No. No, that ended probably around 2 or 3 or so.
I don't know. I didn't look at the clock. I just know that it was loud. Well, the rain was coming down so hard. The wind was whipping around everywhere. And we were under a tornado watch. We were. Not anymore. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
So I hope the people up the East Coast are okay.
Yeah.
It's heading up that way.
Yeah.
So I know you're tired. Let's just jump in now.
Okay.
And before you wear out on me. We've talked before about how you communicate and what you need in order for that to be successful. The thing I wanted to talk about today is in communication, something that is difficult, that it seems to me that I observe in you, is that you're not quite sure what's involved in conversation.
Sometimes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
sometimes I can be very intuitive about it. Sometimes it's like I'm not even... Like I don't even know the right term. Not brain dead, but just not there.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's kind of been, that's been something that you've dealt with your whole life.
Yeah.
And even today, there are times when we're having a conversation and you don't answer. And or oftentimes the answer is okay, or the answer is uh-huh. And what I found is that your okay doesn't mean the same thing that my okay means. I interpret that as you saying, okay, I understand, and will follow through.
No. No, usually okay means okay, I hear you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
For the longest time.
Yeah.
I do know that now.
Yeah. As of just now, or
No. I've realized this
recently.
I would say maybe the last year. Really paying attention, and when we've had conversations that didn't go well.
Yeah.
And so what would happen is we would have a conversation and you would say, okay, so I would think that you were good to go, and then
I wasn't.
You were not. But I thought you were. So then when something didn't happen, It was frustrating to me. But that's not what I really want to talk about, the aftermath of that. I want to talk about the actual conversation.
Okay.
Right? Because I think before we've talked about how there's expectations, and then even with the okay, and it doesn't happen, and then the frustration and all that.
Right.
I think we talked about that before in a podcast. But I think it's important to talk about how an actual conversation, a back and forth, is something that you interpret different and in your own way. So, like you just said, for you, okay means that you hear me.
Mm-hmm.
So try to think about this. When you have a conversation with your friends, how does that feel different than having a conversation with me?
I can say things to them that I would never say in front of you.
Like about me? Uh-oh. That's cool.
No, not about you.
Oh, okay. All right.
Really, it's about her. No.
You mean things I wouldn't get? A type of humor that
both
you guys share?
Both. Yeah. Things that you wouldn't get, things that, like, sense of humor that you wouldn't get.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you are a comedian, there are some types of humor that are not your cup of tea, so to speak.
Sure. That's one of the things that I really like about comedy.
Yeah.
Is that
there's so many different kinds of it.
Yes, and typically you can go to a show that has 3 people on the show, and so somebody on the show is going to make, hopefully, it's going to have something for everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, if one person isn't, like you say, your cup of tea, maybe the next person is.
Yeah, if you don't walk out first.
Usually doesn't happen.
But going back to what we were saying, holy crap, I actually remember it.
Yes. I was just like, ta-da!
Yeah. Going back to what we were talking about, that whenever I talk to my friends versus talking to you, holy crap, I remembered it.
Yeah. You're on today.
I don't really... Whenever I'm in trouble is usually whenever you and I have these capital C conversations.
It's okay. You view it as you being in trouble.
Or something that I missed or didn't do, or...
I view it as me trying to understand what you need, or me trying to get you to understand that other people might want to consider other people in the home that you live in. I think that's probably what you're talking about.
AKA, do this, please.
Yes. Yes. So, and we've talked about that before too. There's times when your perception is, if we might be getting on to you about something when actually it's just us trying to understand how it is that you work, how it is that you process something, how it is that it works for you or doesn't work for you. Because if we can tweak the way that we do something in order for you to be successful, then that's important to us.
Yeah.
But I know that in the past, what's happened is that you also perceive that as you being in trouble.
Here's the thing you should do then.
Okay.
Lead with that.
Okay.
With what you just said, lead with that. Mm-hmm. And I won't have this feeling of,
I think that you have that feeling of, sometimes just when you have to talk to us because we're your parents. I think that that's the way that is. So.
No comment.
Okay. So when you talk to your friends, it feels more free-flowing?
And yes, and it's also the topics that we talk about are not things I talk to you about.
Mm-hmm. And they're like-minded?
Yeah.
And do they share a similar way of speaking that you do, so that
Sometimes, yes.
you understand one another?
Yeah.
So there's not really an expectation.
We are nerds.
Mm-hmm.
And...
And yet, yes, and in your sister's words, nerds are awesome.
Yes. Yes. And we don't take crap from each other.
You dish it and don't take it.
Yes.
But in a friendly way.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. That's really cool. I think everybody needs those kind of friends.
Yeah.
Everybody needs that kind of relationship, just to let off steam, just to laugh, just to enjoy, your time.
Yeah.
When it comes to... now, I don't want to give the impression that we don't have easy conversations, you and I, because we do.
We do, yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. Maybe not all the time.
Okay. What do you say? Half the time? Because I don't think
a quarter to a third of the time.
I don't think that we misunderstand each other.
Right.
All that often.
Right. It's more so in the last 6 months, let's say.
Okay.
Or at least since New Year's.
Okay.
So January to now.
Okay.
I'd say about a third of it has felt tongue-tied. About a third of it has been where to me it feels like I'm in trouble for something.
Oh, okay. Okay. And
another third of it is me talking to you about serious stuff, and the remaining third
mm-hmm.
can be like you said, just fun stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so you're probably talking about those times when we're trying to... and see, you know what? I don't like it that you feel like you're in trouble.
Well, it's not necessarily that I'm in trouble. It's that... I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
That I don't like it that you feel that way, although I guess I can see why you feel that way, because we're really trying to get you to a point where you're self-sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
And you're aware of things that you are just naturally not aware of. So I can understand how those kind of conversations seem stressful and maybe like you're in trouble, even though we don't... I can tell you this much. I'm not upset with you a third of the time. I'm not. But I do
It's more like half the time. No.
I do get aggravated when things are consistently not... taken care of. I do get frustrated with that.
Yes.
But I want to go back to the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
The way that you feel about how the conversations that we're having, I think, is huge. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
I think that if you're feeling like a third of the time that you're in trouble, then you're right. I need to preface those conversations.
Let me clarify that.
Okay.
Not necessarily just being in trouble, but also where I'm frustrated and I'm having to talk to you, and it just comes out where we end up not arguing per se,
mm-hmm.
but just elevated.
Okay. You think that's a third of the time?
No, not all the time.
Okay.
A third of the time, all the time. No,
a third of the time, all the time. Okay, I can't even. I have nothing to say about that because
I'm including the conversations where I feel like I'm in trouble, and where I'm
like life lessons, like the life skills, those kind of conversations. Like
some of
this
them,
is the order.
Some of them, because some of them are the serious talk, and
like how you feel about stuff, what's going on, or how do you feel about this situation or that situation?
It's whenever things get elevated that I'm talking about is that 1/3.
Okay.
Whether it's from you or me getting elevated,
getting frustrated.
Yes.
Is that the right word, you think? Frustrating?
One of them, yeah.
One of them. Okay. So, that wasn't where I was going to go with this. So, is there anything else you want to say about that?
And that's all I have to say about that.
Okay.
No,
So, something that, in conversation with you, so it's interesting, so that you put it in that category. I'm going to be paying attention to that, because even though I don't feel that, clearly you do. So you're saying I could preface, those times when I'm going to talk to you about something like life skills, with that, I'm not upset. This is something that needs to be implemented on a regular basis. We could do that.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So some of the time when we're having a conversation...
All the time. No. Sorry.
You just don't answer. I can be talking to you and you don't say anything. And so then it feels necessary for me to say to you, do you have an opinion? What do you think about that? So you'll share something back. There are times when I need to let you know, and I've said this, so I think this will resonate with you, that there's times that I have to let you know when it's your turn in a conversation, right?
Yeah.
Where sometimes you say, I don't know
how to respond.
I don't know how to respond. And that's...
Or something similar to that.
Right. And I get that.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you really don't know... Because if you don't know that it's necessary for you to respond,
right,
you don't know how to respond.
Right. And with that being said, I can't say, I acknowledge what you're saying, or something like that, because... It's not helpful. It doesn't say that I understand it. It doesn't say anything like that. It just says, hey, I hear what you're saying or I hear what you're saying. I don't really have much more to add to that.
Right. And at this point in your life, when you're having a conversation with me or your dad, there are times when you don't know that your input is that we're at a point in a conversation, a short conversation. I know that you don't like long conversations.
Yeah,
they wear you out. So that's why.
I can't focus for a long conversation. The serious ones.
Well, I would just point out that you do a fantastic job of focusing for long conversations every week when we do a podcast.
Yeah.
So you're able to do that.
Because I know I'm helping people with it.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
And so I sometimes, even if I'm not really feeling up to it, sometimes I force my way through it.
Right. And sometimes when we get done, you're exhausted.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can see on your face and your body language, or you just let me know that, like you hold your hand up like 5 more minutes, because you've got to go. But I want to get back to how, when you're having a conversation with us, and you don't know that you need to say something, are you not listening to what's being said, or do you just not realize that that we need your participation in the conversation? Or what happens so that you don't know that that we need for you to participate as well?
Well, for the most part, nearly every single time that we have a conversation, I am listening. And I just have nothing to really add to what you're saying that would be beneficial or otherwise.
Okay.
And it's not so much that I'm it's not so much that I'm not sure what to say. It's that I have nothing to add to that. I understand where you guys are coming from. I understand what you're saying. And I, for the most part, agree with things that you say that need to change or things like that. And I agree, for the most part, with how to implement change. It's actually taking from that conversation and implementing it.
Right.
That I have difficulty with.
Right. Yeah, I understand that. What I'm talking about specifically is there are times in a conversation that you say, am I supposed to say something now? Or you'll say, I don't know what to say now. You have let me know that you do not like open-ended statements or questions. You like things that are matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was to say to you, hey, I'm thinking about going someplace, in whatever it is in a couple of days, you're not going to respond.
Because it doesn't sound like a question.
See, exactly. What I'm saying is I had to learn that about you.
Yeah. Because
I've been around plenty of people that if I said that, they would say...
They might ask, where are you going? Or
yeah, what are you going to do there? What, Have you ever, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Or do you want company? Or have you ever been there? Or I went there before and it was a lot of fun and they have this and... make
so
sure you do
forth.
this. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it kind of is a lead into a conversation that I have with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And with you, there's nothing back. And I guess that goes to the point of you saying that...
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's...
Right.
Yeah.
But it's something that I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what you're feeling. That's the hard part on our end, on my end and your dad's end, and for some of the time your sister.
Yeah.
Is that we don't know what you think or feel about something because we have to ask the precise, correct question in order to get an answer from you. And
yeah.
He's shaking his head. Yeah. Like, yeah. Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the example that you gave is a really good example because in my mind, that's just a statement of fact. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm going out in a couple days. Mm-hmm. End of story.
Right.
And at best, if you get a response from me, I'll be like, okay.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so it's...
And sometimes when we're just having a conversation, I will say to you those things that I just mentioned, but I will say, so right now I need an answer in regards to that statement.
Yeah.
And that helps you to know that I need feedback, because otherwise it's what you just said. So it's and it happens all the time, and I didn't know that. Yeah. So I'm thinking you didn't hear me, or what's going on, because
I'm not normal.
Well, who is?
Normal is what 90% of average people say is normal.
Mm-hmm. I don't believe normal.
Neither do I. Normal is a fallacy.
Yeah, I think so too. People are just too varied.
Yeah.
Even amongst a group that has similarities, they're too varied.
Yeah.
So that's been something that's been going on in conversation for a long time with you, and even recently, we've had to say to you, what do you at the end, what do you think about this? What do you feel about this? In order to get an answer. But in the midst of something, you've said to me before, I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah.
And you know what answer you would get back. which is, it's not what I want you to say. It's not, it doesn't have anything to do with me, like me wanting you to feel or think a certain way.
Right.
I want to know can you pinpoint how you feel or how you think? And then...
And my mind is like, that's not how I meant it at all.
Right. And that's the one that we've talked about. So now, if you say that, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
And so that one's cool. We got that one figured out.
Because it's not that I'm asking what you want for me to say. It's saying, it's another way of me saying that, hey, I don't know what it is that I should say in this instance.
Like what's appropriate or what's necessary.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's not that I'm looking for something for you to agree with, that I want to say something that you want to agree with. That's not it at all. Mm-hmm. It's all on me with that one.
Well, something that I've noticed is that, you know how just now in this conversation you said that it's I don't remember exactly what was said, whether it's easier with your friends, is it more comfortable, whatever that terminology was, that's pretty much what it is. So one thing that I've noticed is that when you have conversations with your friends, I have a theory, so you can tell me if this theory is correct.
Okay.
My theory is that the detail that I'm trying to get when we have a conversation is not a necessary part of the conversation when you're having a conversation with your friends. So the reason I say that this is the case is because I can ask you about something and something never comes up. So for me, and I'm not even saying, let me be clear, I'm not saying that you're doing it wrong. I'm saying that this is the way that I communicate, and I'm realizing over the past years that it is not the way that you communicate, and that's cool. What? You went over your head?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do this again. When you're talking with me, when we're having a conversation, I am detailed, right?
Yeah,
I want details. I want to know how you feel about something, what you think about something, in order to understand you, in order to,
make things easier.
Make things easier for all of us.
Yeah.
Right. With your friends, you don't go into detail like that. You and your friends are on that. You have the same type of conversation style.
Yeah.
Communication style.
Yeah.
I said that wrong. Communication style.
Yeah.
And so that it doesn't have to be, like...
If we missay something, it's like, we can say, let me try it again. And then we say it in the way that we want it to. Doesn't mean that we don't rib each other for what we say.
Right.
Because we totally will.
Right. Right.
But we don't
But you can have...
hold on to what is said.
Right.
Like, you know that in my personal experience with therapists of different kinds, that if I misspeak, they tend to focus on that misspeak.
Just latch onto it, and you spend the whole time talking about what
something that doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Even though you try to say that was nothing. Let's just...
Yeah. It was a literal misspeech that has nothing to do with how I'm feeling.
And so with your friends, it sounds like you don't talk about your feelings. It's about your likes and dislikes.
Yeah.
It's about your characters. That you can have conversations that are of a broad spectrum, but it's not the kind of stuff that we're talking about, which is needing you to take action for something, or might require us to change the actions that we're taking. That's the deeper, I guess. And at the risk of, sounding girly, it's 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 a touchy-feely kind of stuff. Like, why does this work? What do you need? How can we change this? It's all, because it's important, because that's how we function the best at least when Dad and I have a clear understanding of what you need. Right. But at any rate, also, it's just, you might be 30 years old, but we're still mom and dad, so yeah. Speaking with us is not the same as you hanging out with your friends.
Yeah.
Right. Is there anything that you want to share about that, with conversations that you have, or the way that you interpret, other than open-ended statements, whatever? You don't like those from anyone?
No, not really.
It's too abstract.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's so much easier for me to answer a question if it is, well, the more specific, the better, generally speaking. Mm-hmm. And it helps me to focus on exactly what you're wanting. Mm-hmm. And then I can give a detailed answer to you.
Mm-hmm. How is it at work?
At work?
Yeah.
We joke around some, and then we just do the work. Mm-hmm. Typically speaking, if a place is open, we do inside and outside windows.
Right. I'm specifically asking about the communication between you and the guy you work with.
Yeah, I know. I'm explaining it.
Okay, got it.
I know that whenever we window wash, if the place is open, usually one of us does the inside, one of us does the outside. So it's like, I'm the one who usually asks him, do you want inside or outside? Sometimes he says, I'll do the outside, or sometimes he says, I'll do the inside, but most of the time, it's like, I don't care, which one do you want? Mm-hmm. So, usually I take the outside.
Why?
Because then I'm not having to squeeze out the mop with my hand. And then,
what's the difference?
The difference is I can keep more water in the mop for the outside versus the inside.
Is it because people are in there?
Because it can dry up on the outside, and on the inside, if it gets on the walls or on the floor, somebody could slip, somebody could...
All right.
Or the walls could get damaged, different things like that. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's just one aspect of it. Whenever we're pressure washing, that's a whole different ballgame, because you have to have conversations about stuff, both before, during, and after. Mm-hmm.
Is that getting easier?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I don't do pressure washing that often. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. But I know that usually whenever I do pressure wash things, it's usually a trio of us. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys tends to wear headphones.
Oh, right.
Constantly.
All right. I know it's frustrating to you.
Yeah, especially when I need his attention.
Right. And it's his way of
dealing with the sound and everything. Yeah, as he listens to videos of things. Mm-hmm. And just different things that he likes. Right. So I understand that.
How do you listen to videos? Like on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay.
Typically, headphones are meant for listening to a computer of videos. But
so it's a video that he knows?
Yeah.
Is familiar with it?
Yes.
So then he knows what's happening on the video?
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually. Okay. As far as I know, at least.
Right. Okay.
But,
Well, I'm glad that it's getting better, though.
Yeah.
And I know in the beginning it was frustrating for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
I don't know. This is a short podcast, if this is it.
A little bit. Well, we're 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to keep going?
I mean, we can.
What do you want to talk about?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's all that I wanted to talk to you about today, was the way that we have conversations and the way that you have conversations and what is important for you and with your friends and how it works the best for you.
Okay. Let me clarify something about my D&D friends.
Okay.
You had said something along the lines of that we focus on the characters, we don't necessarily, or you didn't say it like that. You said we it seemed like you implied this, but that we don't necessarily consider our actions.
I think what I was intending to say is that our conversations are sometimes deeper because the ones that aggravate you because they are intended to help you to move forward.
Okay.
With you, or I think probably most people, when you're with your friends, you might, you get close friends, you might have those kind of conversations.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they're not that, intense.
Right.
Or action, take action here, conversations. So
right.
and because you guys all have the same likes,
mm-hmm.
The same interests,
mm-hmm.
then I think that it flows. And you enjoy one another's company. You get each other.
Yeah.
So it's not. It doesn't have to be something that's, I guess I might have said deep, or, like I said, those kind that irritate you when we have them.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Whenever we play D&D.
Mm-hmm.
This is the whole thing I was going towards.
Okay.
Was that whenever we play D&D, we have to think about what our characters are going to do, in whether it be in a fight
mm-hmm.
or just in general. We try and plan ahead for what we do. I mean, yeah, sometimes, usually me is the one who just charges forward.
Okay.
But I try and make things silly sometimes,
mm-hmm.
too. But for the most part, we have to consider what our actions will do.
As the character?
As the character.
Okay.
And what outcome it would have. Like what impact it would have on others in the game. You're giving me this look of, what?
So you can forecast how your actions are going to affect others when you're a character?
Yeah.
Huh.
Don't give me that look.
I guess I'm shocked by this. I'm kind of stunned. Like, if you can do that as a character, why isn't that readily available in your everyday life?
Mom, real life isn't a video game.
Oh, man. So, if I just, like...
No.
No?
No.
Not even a little. I could...
No. In all seriousness, one of the things I enjoy about the game is not only do the other players know exactly what's going on, but with each other,
mm-hmm.
but they also... One of the cool things about D&D and other tabletop RPGs,
mm-hmm.
which RPG is role-playing game.
Mm-hmm. I remembered that one.
You remembered that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. One of the cool things about it, and people with autism, is that whenever people with autism play it, it can teach them real-life scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are far-fetched, like you're never going to face a dragon.
Oh, right.
But with that being said, it teaches you to think forward some, and that your actions have consequences.
Very cool.
Yeah. So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, this is something that you're going to start doing with some younger kids, right?
With other young adults on the spectrum. Yeah.
You're going to lead or
GM or DM, whichever you prefer, Dungeon Master or
I can't help you.
Oh my gosh, it's been a long day. It's been a long day.
It is. So that's really cool. That
Game Master.
Okay, since you're gonna lead that. That's starting up pretty soon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, good deal. I know now that you're kind of wiped out, so we're gonna officially be done with the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So, just so we're talking about that real quick, though, when are you going to start that?
I believe in a couple of Wednesdays.
Okay. All right.
So, a couple weeks.
Yeah, very cool. All right, then. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you would please give us 5-star review if you like what we're doing. It helps us out a lot. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it helps us be seen more.
And you can go to my website. It's sonyaking.com. That's sonyaking.com. Every week, to go along with the podcast, I write a blog. So we have always kind of looked at this, that the podcast is Josh's voice, the way he experiences what he experiences. And then the blog is my side of it, my version. Yeah. So, if you go to the website, you can see that, and among other things.
Yeah, and my brother-in-law is the one who does the artwork.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every week he does some illustration. So it's pretty cool. You might like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much. We're so happy to be hanging out with you again. And like I said, we missed you last week.
Yeah.
And hope you have a great weekend. Love you.
Happy Easter, by the way.
Yes, happy Easter.
Bye.
Bye.